Today on What It's Like, 2018 Mustang GT. Before we get started, I want to jump in and give a special thanks to Beaver County Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep for the opportunity to review this Mustang GT from their pre-owned inventory. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, be sure to check out Bob Beaver in Chippewa Township. Also, if you're into all things automotive, I'd like to invite you to the channel. We try to post at least twice a week, but I do apologize about not having a specific day in which videos go up. Anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. Okay, on to the long-winded overview. Actually, we are going to do things a little different. A montage of Mustang history. We could be here literally all day talking about Mustang history, so here's the short version of it. April 13th, 1964 is the day that changed everything for Ford going forward. That was the day the Mustang was introduced. With a base price of $2,368, the 1964 Mustang was introduced at the World's Fair and quickly became the talk of the town. That's all everybody ever talked about. One prominent race car driver of the time, Carroll Shelby, called it a secretary's car. Lee Iacocca teamed up with Shelby to make the Mustang GT as well as the Mustang Fastback, which didn't exist in 1964, and turned it into something iconic. As promised, not going to get into the full-blown history. Here's a stroll through history of the different Mustangs they made over the years. Check out this front end. It swoops down. This is a carryover from the 2018 model. It was very controversial whenever it first came out, but it looks way better in person than it does in pictures. It almost has that Shelby GT 350 kind of look. It swoops down. Very aggressive styling in the front end with this splitter. Here's a better lower view of the front end. You can see that splitter action there, the menacing headlights. From this angle, the grill kind of looks like a catfish kind of grill. Going on top here, you see these hood scoops. They're functional hood scoops there. The headlights are layered. It gives it a very menacing, very aggressive kind of look. Take a look at those headlights. They're layered now. They're all LED'd. If you've never driven a newer Ford, they have the best headlights, in my humble opinion, of any vehicle I've ever drove anyway. Best headlights from the driver's seat. Maybe not the best headlights when you're driving towards them. They're very bright. It's almost like tunnel vision. Check out the sides, how it's all sculpted in here. This all sticks out a little bit. Let's talk about these mirrors for a second. These ones don't have the turn signals on the sides. You do have for blind spots here this smaller mirror. So let's talk about this key for a second. It's just a key fob. I totally forgot to mention that there is, in fact, a key inside this fob. Down towards where the panic button is, it's the last button next to the chrome part where the loop connects to. That actually pulls out to reveal a key, and then you could use the key to lock the glove box. That top button here is the unlock button, lock button. Hit this twice and you could start it. Hit this twice and that pops the trunk, and this is the panic button. So I'm standing here right next to the trunk, so we'll hit this twice and open the trunk. So there we go. Inside here you got quite a large amount of storage space, and it goes back quite a ways. There's a removable section here. That's where the spare tire would be. The Mustang GT doesn't come with a spare tire for weight savings. Just gonna back up and show you that goes all the way up, so you could store stuff in here. It doesn't have a very big opening, but it's a very large opening. It goes back quite a ways. Alright, so I'm going to lock the door and show you this one feature. I'm going to put the keys in my pocket. So if you walk up to the car, any Mustang that has these 4 lines, you just put your hand back here. There's a sensor. And as long as you have the key in your pocket, it will unlock the door. So that's a nice feature. So inside the Mustang, you got this nice steel plate. So check out these seats. Look at the bolstering. They're just cloth seats. They're not Recaros or anything special like that. This particular car has the seat delete package, which I don't believe was available. I think this was aftermarket. Even the seat belts are gone, which I thought was a very cool thing. I never saw that. If you look up there, there's no placement for seat belts. They totally got rid of them. Okay, moving back to the front. Check that out. They got Mustang stitched into the seat itself. That's a very nice touch. You got your seat controls here. It has power adjustment backwards and forwards. You still have to manually adjust the back part. And back to the door panels, you have one-touch windows for the driver and passenger side. There's your mirror controls that switches it between the driver's mirror and the passenger's mirror. You have your door lock buttons, unlock and lock. There's a speaker here. This is just so it doesn't hit up against here. Your defrosters, nice chrome handle. You also have this really nice grab handle to pull the door closed, as well as a nice space to put, my wife puts water bottles in there. That's where she would keep all her water bottle collection. But the door handles are really nice, finished in really nice leather. I don't know if that's real leather or leatherette, but it's really nice quality feeling. This car is low, and when you sit in it, not on it. Vehicles that you sit on are like minivans and SUVs and stuff like that. But off to the right hand side, you have all your headlight controls. This is this one here brightens up the gauge cluster, and this one here dims the gauge cluster. Here's all your light settings. This one being just a regular GT, it has just the standard analog gauges. You do have a multifunctional gauge here in the center that's digital. The premium package offers digital gauges, which we'll show you later. But as you can see, this thing redlines at 7,500 RPMs, which is incredible. Engine temperature gauge at the bottom there. This one over here is your speedometer, and then you have your fuel gauge at the bottom there, and then you got your drive modes at the bottom. I love this speedometer analog gauge. It looks awesome, especially the fact that it just says ground speed in it. That's pretty cool. That's a really nice touch. Moving across the dash, you have these nice climate vents. I'm a big fan of these because you can turn them any way that you want to turn them. In the center gauge here, you have your oil pressure, which is really cool. This next gauge over here tells you how much vacuum pressure you're making. You got another vent over here. This one's got the carbon kind of swirled effect. Got a Mustang badge up there, as well as a vent, speaker on the B pillar, and there's a speaker here on the A pillar as well. It's all nicely stitched. It's very nice in here. This got some defrost vents up there. The dashboard isn't very big. Some vehicles, the dashboard's very thick, wide, long. I don't know what you really want to describe it, but this dashboard's very small. It's kind of compact. It's nice. Some of the early 2000 cars had these gigantic dashboards that protruded like halfway through the cab, and this one doesn't have it, which is really nice. Talking about the center display screen, it's very basic. You got your phone, there's climate, it's got dual climate control zones in here. Right here you have the passenger climate control, and over here you have the driver climate control, and then you have your defrosters, your front defroster, your rear defroster, circulating AC in car. For fan speed here, this is to turn it on and off, max AC, AC, and auto. And this is for your radio. This is to control the tuner. This is to control the volume. But to control where it goes, you have to use the screen here. So if you want it on your head, you have to push the screen. If you want it on your feet, you have to push the screen. There's not an actual button for that. Moving to the gear selector, this has the 10-speed automatic, which gets better gas mileage than the manual. The shift selector is interesting. It's got this nice aluminum finished piece here, and you just select it to push your foot down on the brake and start it, of course, to select a different gear. Your emergency brake's right here where it should be, not an electric one, so that's awesome. You got 2 cup holders. The glove box opens from this little handle here on the side, and it pops up. Pretty big center console, all things considered. You do have a 12-volt power port outlet here, cigarette style type, and you got a USB right there. So let's talk about these toggle switches. They're very cool. They're very unique to the Mustang. I don't think anybody else does this right now, but it looks awesome. So the first one here is the hazard lights, or 4-ways. This one here is for traction control. This one here is for steering feel, and this one is to for different modes like track mode, sport mode, comfort mode. So that's what the toggle switches do. Coming back to the steering wheel, you got all kinds of buttons on this steering wheel. There's for your cell phone and cruise control settings there. Volume, skip, play. And this one's like to use the configurative dashboard. So here's what the glove box looks like, and it's lockable. You just push that button and that's what your glove box looks like. So your trunk release button's right here, right underneath the tachometer. So you just push that to open the trunk. Your hood release is actually right here. It's just this little black release. It doesn't say hood or anything. You just pop it and that pops the hood. So under the hood of this legendary automobile lives a 5.0, aka the Coyote motor, making 460 horsepower. Red lines at 7,500 RPMs, which we briefly talked about, which is 500 RPM more than the 2017 version. They changed all this in 2018, and it also has 420 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so we upgraded. We're in the Mustang GT Premium now, and this gauge cluster is totally configurable. Same thing with the switches down at the bottom. You could switch it to like snow and wet. It'll stay the same as far as the cluster goes, but if you switch it up to, say, normal, gauge cluster stays the same. If you switch it up to sport, it totally changes. I don't know if you saw that, but it totally changed. The view of the RPM goes the whole way across the gauge cluster screen now. And if you go to Sport Plus, it stays in this configuration. So that's kind of cool. The track mode, you get the RPM gauge all the way across, which is cool. And your speedometer is just over here on the side. And yeah, so this is more configurable than the regular GT package was. I'm just gonna put it into normal because also with the toggle switch, it only goes up, it doesn't go down. So you have to cycle through them all again. All right, driving the Mustang GT Premium. Okay, yep. It's hard to tell if you're in drive or not. Driving the GT. Get in line here. That guy wasn't getting over. So let's talk about these seats. These seats really hold you. If you're a bigger guy, you're gonna feel it, but it feels more like a cradling for me anyway, from my position. We had a cop follow us for the last 10 miles, it seems, and we had to turn around and head back down to where we were. But this is an awesome experience. last Mustang I was in was 2013 model, and you can still kind of see the dashboard in this one from the 2013 model. It still has the retro kind of design that one had, but it's more modernized. As far as the GT Premium goes, the gauges, they moved the gauges from the center to the digital screen. The digital screen doesn't really do justice, like, as far as seeing it on the computer screen. When you see it in person, it looks awesome. When you see it on the computer screen, it kind of looks a little bit but it looks great in person, and it's awesome that you can flip through and configure it any way that you possibly want to. And we're going, I'm gonna do a pull from 40 if I can get going that slow. Okay, we're going 38. That was cool. Just that sound. That sound's worth the price by itself.
Left lane if you can.
Yes. I love the turn signals in this. It sounds like a little mini heartbeat. So the turn signal sound is totally different than the one from the 2013. 2013 just had like a regular turn signal sound, I believe. I'm not sure what video is going up first. I drove, so I was in a Mustang GT, and then I got in a Pontiac Solstice, and then I got in this Mustang, and the Mustang rides better than the Pontiac Solstice did. The Pontiac Solstice, you could feel every single little bump, every single little crack, every single little crevice. This, you could feel that stuff sometimes, but it's not overly feely.
Yeah.
Which, it's good. You sit down low in this car. You sit in it, not on it. This is a car you sit in. Cars you sit on are like Honda Odyssey is a car you sit on and not in. Anything that has a captain's chair for the driving position is a car that you sit on, not in. My 52 Chevy truck is a car that you sit on, or a truck that you sit on, not in. But this one, you definitely sit in it. Your dashboard, or the dashboard, is almost eye level with your eyes, which is nice. That's how you tell you're sitting in it, not on it. So what's it like? Okay, yeah, my final thoughts and takeaways of the 2019 Mustang GT and GT Premium. If you can afford it, get the GT Premium. It's a way better interior. The gauge cluster is awesome. Not saying the gauge cluster in the regular GT isn't any good. It's just the one in the GT Premium actually worked. When I tried to switch the exhaust settings on just the base GT, I couldn't get to set into quiet or normal. In the GT Premium, you can set it for all of that. You can make it super quiet. You can make it loud, and you can make it throaty, and there's a couple different settings that you can set it to, and each one changes it. And I will say this, and it might just be me, but it seemed like the GT Premium seats held you more. Like the bolster was even more extreme than the regular GT. It felt like it was cradling you. And we talked about how you sit in it, not on it. This is definitely one of those types of cars. So if you have a hard time getting up or down, this might be a deal breaker for you. The 10-speed auto was amazing. Yeah, so if you're in the market for a muscle/pony car, I don't know if this crossed the barrier of muscle car. Put it in the comments section below. Either way, this is an excellent choice, and it's definitely worth the look. The Mustang GT, I would go with the Mustang GT Premium if you can afford it.